You know what, Anthony? I've taken a lot of risks to be with you. I've ruined relationships with my family. I've ruined relationships with my friends. I've ruined my own relationships. I've risked it all for us. And I'm going to tell you this one more time. Do not play me like a fool.
What's up, guys? Welcome to today's topic and episode. Why do women risk it all? What's the purpose of this risking it all? And is this just like a fictitious thing made up by Kountry Wayne, or have there been women out there who have actually risked it all? Well. I dare to say that this has become actually the norm in modern day society. So, you know what? Let's just kind of deep dive in a piece of content here because, after all, it's real life, isn't it?
There's a house in LA. There's a girl named Sophie Rain who's a Christian OnlyFans girl, and she's got a bunch of girls that literally look like they're 12 years old, and they make childlike content on TikTok to be able to promote their OnlyFans. As I hear mothers that tell me, little girls are now like, I want to be a part of I love it.
Oh my Lord.
So stop right there. So in other words, y'all are realizing that the kids are being actually advertised to. Now you see exactly how much more important we actually are at this point in time. Growing up before, these things never existed. The internet was never a thing. You went to the library to go on the computer. You did things a little bit different. But now this is exactly where we are. And it is kind of our duty to assist society to kind of bring it back to some level of normalcy. This is exactly where we are. Women are risking it.
Diabolical. It's like a feeder system. So we've had a Nala Ray who says she made $14 million. And we had like China who said she was making like $20 million a month at her height. Is that the reality for most girls?
The reality is the average wage of an OnlyFans creator is $180 a month.
So $180 a month, not even enough to pretty much pay. I guess what you could pay with that, like a light bill, maybe a light and a water and probably some trash bill, just about that. Or depending on where you live and how much electricity you're using, chances are you'd probably spend the whole 180 on electricity. So my question again is, why are women sacrificing it like this? Why are they making this much sacrifice? Why are they risking it, as Shayla would say? Before I even start, let me preface the conversation by saying that this is actually wrong. And let me actually condemn it from now so you actually understand what my stances are when it comes to domestic violence. And if you know me and you've watched my channel long enough, you know it's across all, genders. In other words, I don't think it's more right with a woman or a man or whatever the case is. I just don't feel like domestic violence is something we want to see. We're seeing a lot of that now in our series. But hey, it happens in life and we have to actually see it from both point of views because it does happen on both scales. I feel like when this just started, we were like, oh my God, Diddy's a monster. Look at the things that he's actually done to Cassie. He could never come back at all from this. She was so much the victim in this entire thing. We held that view until the trial came into motion and we started to hear just little things about what really was taking place.
You've heard my name mentioned probably a dozen different times in this trial. I'm in the actual freak off video. Several of the videos, unfortunately, are me covered in baby oil in a room with Cassandra Ventura.
You said Daniel Phillip?
Daniel Phillip. I met Daniel Phillip in an orgy at Cassie's apartment in one of the Trump buildings in Midtown Manhattan. I believe it was 2011. That's where I met Daniel Phillip in an orgy where I was called by Cassie to have a sexathon. And basically the goal of this sexathon was for one of us to last the longest. Whoever lasts the longest was going to become her main boy toy. Tasha K, I see your face.
Hold on. So just so we put this into context. So in other words, this guy was being hired by Cassie Ventura, which was involved in the entire thing. In other words, he was hired by her to participate in this particular freak off, and the guy who stays the longest is the guy who gets the job to continue the freak offs. Just so y'all are clear as to what exactly is going on here. Is there any coercion at all?
This is the truth. So for 2 days, myself and Daniel Phillip, we participated in this sexathon, Sex and Cassie. Daniel Phillip hung in there, but I think it was a Wednesday morning, actually. I think the morning of the wrap up of the thing, he he couldn't participate anymore. Not because something's wrong with him. He had been up 2 days. He's back to back having sex with her. He was tired, so he couldn't perform anymore. But I still could. So I finished her off. I end up winning. Diddy comes out the room after he carries her in the other bedroom. He pays Daniel Phillip. Daniel Phillip leaves. He comes to me. He tells me out his own mouth. He says, "Listen, she said you were the best ever had in her life." Wow, really? He said, "Yeah." He says, "Yo, she wants you to come back. She just needs some time to rest."
So hold on. So in other words, they're okay with this. In other words, Cassie was okay with this. Diddy was okay with exactly what was going on. You know what I mean? If she's saying, hey, he's the best or whatever else it is, no, as to why, Diddy wasn't enough, I guess, for her. I don't know that part. I guess we'll probably hear more from him, what I mean, based on, his viewpoint here. And by the way, guys, this is allegedly, so we don't know. But hey, he's giving a story and he's, being touted as one of the guys who were actually involved in the freak off. But that's crazy though. So now you're actually seeing that this is not just like because how they sold us this trial, they sold us from before, and based on what I showed y'all before, this was kind of sold to us as just like a domestic violence, the abusive man, the man that has all this power, all this money, and he's been abusing all of the situation. Much of like what we've kind of seen in some of the Kountry Wayne skit where sure Anthony may instigate a lot of things, but the truth is Shayla is actually behind the scenes working a lot of what's going on, and we actually see that just the same. So that's kind of similar. No, the freakiness is a little bit different, but it's pretty similar.
I said, all right. Now I had been there 2 days, Tasha. I needed to go to work. I was an optician. I don't even think I was escorting anymore at the time, because I only started escorting because I was in prison. I got released. I had a great body. I was good with women. So someone hired me to be an escort. So maybe a year or two into it, I stopped. I got a job. I was an optician. I was trying to get my life together. I didn't have time for that. But Cassie paid me so well. It was kind of like a no-brainer. Beautiful woman, $5,000 every time I got to break her down. What 30
Rico said during our interview last week that the pay was $5,000.
So $5,000 is crazy, guys. So just imagine that. So you are participating in this particular freak off. Let's just kind of work that out. You're getting $5,000 each session. Let's say he does a session each week. 5,000 times 4, that gives you what? $20,000. He's making 20 grand per month. Multiply that by 12, it gives you $240,000 per year. And before this part of the interview, he's mentioned that he's been doing this for 8 years. That's a lot of money to be participating in these freak offs. But hey,
I had an extensive history with Cassie. I see your face. You're like, oh my God, yeah.
How many hours did you go?
Oh, the longest I ever had sex with her was 4 days in Miami. Then Diddy is rich. He's as rich as a king. I don't know if you've ever seen the HBO TV series Rome, like where there was with the Julius Caesar series Rome that they had years ago on HBO.
No, but I'm sure my husband has watched it. He watch all them type of shows. But
okay, a couple of years, HBO had a series, and in this series they had like Cleopatra, Mark Anthony. They were smoking opium. They had a bunch of slaves in there that she.
So it's more like, just so you kind of guys get an idea. I think it's like Spartacus. Spartacus had that type of scene in there as well, where the lady would have, picked a slave for the night and decided exactly what she wanted to do. And I've been saying this to a bunch of friends of mine, that a lot of the freakiness that's kind of happening has been happening for ages, because they try to make it like a thing, like, oh my God, the freak off is not, it's not illegal to do a freak off. So that's not the thing. But I think they're trying to use that to say, okay, well, he's forcing her to do these freak offs. But as you're actually seeing and listening to this particular witness, who they didn't call on the stand, because of course it would not have kind of made her, her case look very, very solid. You're realizing that this is how she rolled. This is exactly what it was for her. So it's just nothing new. I mean, and hey, whatever you want to do in your bedroom is what you want to do in your bedroom. It's just how people started to make this actually seem. Why would you risk it? I don't know.
Sleeping with that had larger members than Mark Anthony. This is what a freak off really was. I was made to be completely naked, baby oil, and basically kept on standby for every time Cassie needed to come. And I would be called to make her come. I didn't have to eat her. I didn't have to kiss her, even though she kissed me, which is disgusting. Now that I know she was letting people urinate in her mouth. But this is the whole point of.
Hold on, give me a second. Oh, good Lord. Every single time they mention that part about, like, the depths of where they went, it's just like, ugh, good Lord. Please. Whoa. All right. Okay. I'm good.
Oh my God. You know, Diddy might have did a lot of he did a lot of bad stuff. He's horribly abusive to women. We all know this. This is his track
Yeah.
record, but he does not deserve an unfair trial. And if there's evidence that says that Cassie's involved, they should not be holding that to make her look like this holier than art thou battered woman.
All right, stop right here. And I think this was the point that I was trying to make. If y'all watch and y'all from the channel that are, because this is going to go out to not just our channel, and it's meant to do that. It's meant for us to have like a whole conversation. I saw a bunch of posts online. Look at even this post. Cassie finally recognized her worth and walked away from Diddy after 10 long years with nothing but memories to show for it. Fast forward, she meets Alex Fine, and in less than 2 years, she's engaged, married, and pregnant. Cassie has been through a lot. This was one of those posts that was like ringing around, where what they do is they try to normalize this kind of stuff. And I showed y'all the OnlyFans thing in the beginning. That's what is going on right now. What's happening now is that ladies are able to do these lots of things and then just kind of normalize them, be like, oh, okay, well, she's been through a lot, she's suffered, and so because she's suffered, then of course, yes, we should put her on a pedestal. Should we? I'm just saying. I'm just kind of giving y'all a viewpoint on this again, guys. I know y'all gonna come and give me the whole idea because I've heard it. I've been at this with a lot of people, and the first thing they give me is the domestic violence. And I'm saying, guys, okay, give me the domestic violence. But I think there's more behind it. And it has shown that there's more behind it. If you're going to just look at one side and can't look at the other side, then I don't think we actually can be talking about it in good faith. And this was one of those posts that made it look like that. It made it look like, oh, well, it's just a predatorial guy. One person even mentioned that, oh, she was too young and she was too young to do all of these things. And how can she do this by herself? She must have been coaxed. And I said, guys, let me ask y'all a question. When there's a boy, a young boy who's probably say 18 years old, and he commits a crime, who comes out and says, oh, that young boy is too young to go to jail? Look, he has been coerced into violence. No one says that. He goes to jail. Those are some of the double standards that we see actually happening when it comes to genders in society.
He was abusive. He was abusive, but he wasn't abusive because she didn't want to have sex. That's the exact opposite. He was abusive because he would catch us having sex behind his back. She would emasculate him about his size because he's not that big. She would always get smart with him. And Diddy, from what I saw, Diddy is although he's incredibly successful, he's incredibly insecure. His ego is on everything. He would compete with me to try to sleep with Cassie better than me while he was paying me to do it, which was insane. An example, let's say I'm having sex with her. She comes, she's laying in the bed. She's like, oh my God, shaking. I usually would get up and stand off to the side to let him watch her react to coming. He would jump on top of her right after and try to have sex with her, I guess, to make her come again. Now, I'm 3 times larger than him, I would probably say, just off a glance. I never had a sexual relationship with him. I need to say
3 times larger. Okay. 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 Let's get our numbers in here. Okay. You know what? Maybe we should pause on this one. It's fine. Okay. Hey, dude says 3 times larger. All right. We'll take that as the comic relief in this entire, thing that we're watching. Fine.
So unfortunately, I saw Sean Combs' member. It's not big. So I believed Cassie when she said, yo, listen, my husband has a small, I'm hiring you because you can satisfy me. He likes to watch. I had absolutely no reason to doubt that she was telling the truth to that.
So in other words, this guy was being hired to do all of this. Remember what I said to y'all before. There are a lot of people online who were quick to say that she was being coerced into doing all of this. They were saying, hey, you know what? Diddy was the one that was forcing her to do all of what was going on. Y'all hear? This is one of the actual escorts who was there, who was being hired. It's like, it's time for us to start being very, very honest when we talk about these topics. Be very, very honest. If we really and truly want to save society, or, really want to mean society any good at all, we have to start being honest on both sides. Because we don't, what we do is we're saying we're okay with all of the behavior that is actually taking place. And then people can just say exactly what they want to say. Like they just can come out and they can lie and they can say anything it is that they want to actually say. They made it seem, I'm just telling y'all how it looked. They made it seem that she was a victim of all of this, this assault. That's exactly how it came across. That is exactly how most of the trial came across. They didn't even bother. The RICO charges are like just the small time charges. The idea was how predatory this guy was, how abusive, and the abuse, right? Tittered and flowed into the whole idea of these freak offs that actually happened. So the freak offs were as a result of the DV that was occurring. That's kind of what they were trying to give us.
Did he have a micro or something?
It just was small, he big pockets, little member. That's just what it was, man. He big pockets, and women don't care. No disrespect. Women don't care when you got a lot of money. Listen, you got a lot of money, we can get around that. He got enough money. She was a young, horny girl. She liked to have sex. And this was the arrangement. He took her around. They would have these freak offs because she was into the swinger lifestyle. Mm-hmm. She tried to take me to strip clubs. She invited me to swinger parties. She would talk to me about the lifestyle and how her and Sean like to sometimes get together and get with other couples. Mm. So I was completely dumbfounded when I heard the fact that she was saying she was made to have these sexual relationships. And I'm like, when? I saw you being forced. I never saw you being afraid. The only time I saw you afraid is when he would catch you nutting behind his back when you told me to do it.
So in other words, what I'm getting from him is that she had an insatious appetite. When it comes to sex, she just had a wealth of an appetite. And why not just say that? She had a large appetite, and I can understand how you could have DV issues happening in that. Because of course, hey, a man is gonna get jealous if he's paying all this money and his girl is doing all of these things. And if you want to swing it the other way around, it's going to be the same thing. You don't want your guy out there, as I've listened to a lot of the females on my channel a lot of times. You don't want your guy out there, according to y'all, giving out community D. You're going to be upset with that. I can see exactly how the DV could creep even more into it. Now, it may not be the entire thing and the entire reason, but I can see exactly what creeps into it.
So what are you talking about, Good example. I remember a situation, he got a phone call. So the rules of these freak offs or swinger parties was if he's watching as a voyeur, we can't do anything sexually when he's not there. And that's a basic trust issue between men and women who are involved in a swinger relationship. If you allow someone in your bedroom, you're expecting that person to follow the rules. Usually, if you're dealing with a couple where the man is consenting to you sleeping with his wife, the man is in control of that situation. So if he doesn't want you to do it with your wife, you can't. That's just the swinger lifestyle. If anyone who knows about the swinger lifestyle knows I'm telling the truth. If you've gone out and got someone in your bedroom, let's say for your husband, even if the woman likes the guy, she still has to defer to her husband. Because when that man leaves, you still got to live with your husband. It's common sense. So this is what Cassie would do. She would defer to Diddy just to make sure he was okay with the fact that she was giving me head, that she might want to keep having sex. And Cassie was insatiable. Diddy never made her have sex with. He never insinuated, yo, why don't you take some D? He never said that. She would go, she would tell him I'm ready. He would say, okay, you could start. He would watch, but he would be more of a protective. He would make sure nothing happened to her. He was incredibly protective of her.
What Cassie was doing was risky. It was extremely risky because there was a lot of like STDs involved. I mean, who to tell? I don't know. HIV possibly. And that's like a deadly disease. So it was extremely risky. Anyway you put that all, it was extremely risky. Risking her body like that. That's risky. Now, no one really called this out in the entire piece. They called out the DV, and that's fine. You should call out the DV, of course. Like I've said before, the DV should be called out. And I've called it out at the front of this video. But no one called out the whole idea. And when I say no one, of course, people do. But I mean, in general, a lot of women came out and they were just in defense. But they never saw the other parts of it. They never looked at the other pieces of it. Because nothing else mattered. This guy's interview just goes right underneath the bridge on YouTube because guess what? We don't want to hear this part. He's a DV guy. Lock him up. Throw away the key. Do whatever else it is. No matter how promiscuous the woman is. And all I'm saying is, if that's our approach to women these days, then hey, I mean, what's next? Y'all see what's going on? Y'all see that there are OnlyFans that are advertising to little young girls? I mentioned today about the whole idea of Sexy Red. And I told y'all when Sexy Red wanted to go to those schools, y'all see Sexy Red's brand. When that goes in front of you. Anyways, guys, all I'm saying is there's a level of accountability I think that's not being taken. And I think that that's where I have the problem with. But hey, I could be wrong. Y'all have heard this. Y'all heard the content. I want y'all to comment and give me exactly where you are on this. We already know the DV. I want y'all now to give me the next side of the story. Is it okay? Is it not okay? Let me know what y'all think. Like, share, comment, subscribe. Talk to y'all soon.